friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you haven't been here before. I'm Erin, and for today's video we are going to be talking about another creepy doll. That's right, another creepy haunted doll. There seems to be a plethora of them out there. So this doll also resides in Zak Bagans Haunted Museum in Las Vegas, Nevada. So I had actually mentioned this doll back in, I can't remember if I mentioned her in my Peggy the doll video, which I'll have linked down below if you want to check that out. But I did mention her in my video about whether or not I thought Ghost Adventures Live was scripted, which I will also have linked down in the description if you want to check that one out. And I think I had called her Lillian in that video, which is not the case, but I was close. Her name is Lilly, so we are going to be talking about Lilly the haunted doll, who now has taken up residence in the Haunted Museum. So Lilly the doll first became known in Salem, Oregon after an antique dealer had found her kind of hidden away in an antique chest. Once he had found her and kind of gave her a once over, he decided to take her home to be placed on display in his own home because he liked the way the antique doll looked. Obviously, if he's an antique dealer, he's into antiques, so he probably thought it would be a nice display piece for his collection. Well, he would soon find out that this was a big mistake. Soon after he brought this doll home, he began to have nightmares. And these nightmares were about a little girl who was hurt in a very bad accident. Now, he has been asked to divulge the details of said nightmares that he had been having, but he felt that they were too disturbing and graphic to even talk about. So he just simply said that he was having these horrible nightmares about this little girl who was hurt very badly in an accident. So after these nightmares continued, he decided that it was probably best to take Lilly out of his house and bring her to his antique shop, which is where he put her on display and placed her up for sale. Now, the weird happenings with Lilly didn't stop, obviously, once he put this doll in his antique shop. The most notable thing that happened was a little girl came in with her family, and she began to have a conversation with Lilly. Now, little girls typically tend to talk to toys, but what caught everybody's attention was that this little girl was speaking to Lilly the doll as if she was an actual child. And the other thing that was very creepy about her speaking to this doll was she held on a conversation with this doll for 3 hours. So obviously, patrons and people who worked in the store quickly took notice of this little girl who was seemingly having a one-on-one conversation with the doll as if it were real, and they thought it was very strange. And then the little girl began to tell them what she had talked to Lilly about. So the most terrifying thing about this conversation that this little girl had with this doll is that she said that Lilly had been subjected to extreme violence. So I'm sure once the antique dealer heard what the little girl said about Lilly having been subjected to extreme violence, that he probably immediately got confirmation that the dreams he was having about a little girl having a very bad accident coincided with this doll. And now I'm going to tell you something about Lilly that will probably shed a little light onto why there may be something attached to Lilly. So obviously Lilly is an antique. She was found by an antique dealer and placed in an antique store. She is from the 1800s and she is a German doll. Now the key thing about Lilly is that Lilly's hair is supposedly actual human hair. So like I said, this sheds a little bit of light as to why the nightmares and the conversation with the little girl and the attachment to the actual doll is there, is because that this doll actually has actual human hair. So many people believe that if you have something that's from an actual human or something that was very near and dear to somebody and it's placed on a doll or an object, that their feelings and what went on in their life, their memories, etc. are attached to that, and therefore part of their spirit is actually attached to that. So the hair on the doll could actually be from a little girl who either had a very bad accident or had something extremely violent happen to her, which is very, very sad if you ask me, and I'm sure that you feel the same way. But that is probably why these feelings and dreams are being projected from that doll is because whoever's hair that was actually went through this. So you may be asking yourself how Zak Bagans actually came to get this doll. I'm assuming when they were filming in Oregon, he actually probably stumbled upon this doll or heard about this doll in this antique shop and then went to have a look at her. I don't know if you follow Zak or Aaron or any of them on Snapchat, Instagram, etc. Actually, none of them really post on Snapchat anymore. Nobody does. I don't. I just use it for the filters. But he posts on Instagram and in his Instagram story a lot. And often when they go places to film, one of the things they do in their downtime is they go to different antique shops and he tries to find stuff for his museum, his own personal collection at home, and what have you. So I don't know if he just happened to stumble upon Lilly in the antique shop, or if somebody said, hey, this creepy doll is here, why don't you come take a look at it? But it's not a surprise that he was in an antique store, I guess is my point. Anyway, supposedly when he walked in and he saw Lilly, he actually felt an immense amount of energy coming from the doll. And once he felt this energy, he knew right away that this was something that he wanted to have as part of his collection for the museum. There was an older woman working the day that Zak came to look at the doll, or he happened upon the doll, whatever the case is, and decided that he wanted to buy it. So this woman who was working in the antique store, they had the doll up in a case that was on a shelf, so she had to go and get the doll from the case on the shelf to package up for Zak since he was buying the doll. Now, obviously she had to touch Lilly in order to get her down and package her. So I guess they weren't selling her case at all. They were just selling the doll. But it ended up when she physically placed her hands on the doll to bring her down out of the case and off the shelf, she began to look very flushed and flustered and began to panic. And Zak says that all she kept saying after she had touched this doll, or while she was touching the doll, was, I need to wash my hands. I need to wash my hands. Soon thereafter, she kind of became immobilized because she just felt so ill and she was receiving very sharp pains in her stomach. So definitely a very creepy experience just getting the doll to him. Now, of course, Zak deals with this stuff all the time. He has a museum full of haunted items, so he knows what he's doing with them, which is good. So I think he's right in that Lilly now has a very good home to reside in for the rest of her days. So I just wanted to read some comments that had been posted by people on Facebook that actually had seen the doll or been around the doll in Salem, or what theories people have about Lilly that are on the actual Facebook page, on the Haunted Museum's Facebook page, and I'll have that linked down below as well. Okay, so this person says, I've been to that antique store, I live in Salem, and she scared the crap out of my kids and I. We felt like she was watching us, especially my daughters. I won't go back in that store. No way, Jose. Which I don't know that it's necessary that they have to stay out of the store because the doll's not there anymore. So I don't think that she's still hanging out. I think that she's in the museum. She may have some attachment to anybody who's had her, like the antique dealer. I'm sure he's probably still having nightmares, but who knows. This one I thought was kind of interesting because it kind of came up with a theory. I don't know if this story is true or not, obviously, because somebody on Facebook just randomly posted it. But keep in mind that Lilly is supposedly an 1800s German doll. And this person said, I heard a story about a woman from Germany who ran an orphanage that would kill some of the orphans that weren't being adopted. She would kill them in a violent manner, proceeding to cut off their hair to make dolls and then selling the dolls on the side and disposing of the children's body in a gruesome way. Now, this story was told to me when I was very young, and the person who told it was young as well, so it very well could just be a made-up story. However, after I just read this post, I caught chills because the doll has human hair and was made in Germany, and apparently the spirit possessing the doll was said to have died violently. I'm praying it's just a story. I just had to share how chilling this just was for me. Which I agree, that's very creepy had this person really heard the story when they were younger, because obviously you can put two and two together here. And then this next one says, I just recently moved to Salem and I snapped a pic of the doll while I was in this store just a few weeks ago. And I'll put that here for you. The shopkeeper at the time had told me they had strange things happening in the store, electrical anomalies, lights flickering, things moving on their own. I was just in the same store yesterday, and I asked the woman in your picture, who she is on my cover picture, you'll see the older lady there, and this is the person who got the doll for Zak. But anyway, it says, I asked the woman in your picture where the haunted doll went. She told me you bought it and that she was really disturbed because she had to touch it when she packaged it up for you. I asked her how she's been feeling since having to touch it, and she said she's been having very bad dreams. They're glad to be rid of her. So this one I thought was interesting, and I'm not sure if it's true or not that this would actually happen, but this would also make sense. Zak, sometimes hair would be made from the dead. It is possible the girl was abused and the family donated the hair to a doll maker. The doll maker, not knowing the story, used the hair. So again, could be hair from an actual abused person. And then this person wrote, being from Salem and having seen Lilly many times up close and personal, along with the talks with the dude who owned her, she is amazingly creepy. I always felt a weird pain in my stomach every time I went to see her, and I visited her every 2 weeks. I asked the owner if he had any weird experiences with her when she was in his house, and he said yes, that's why she is for sale. I'm not surprised she ended up in Zak's museum. If I wasn't such a weirdo about dolls, she would have been mine. I have dreamt about her and his corner of that antique shop many times since I moved. Lilly looks like someone broke her into a million pieces and someone meticulously glued her back together. Now, I can't find the comment on here, and to be perfectly honest, I can't remember if I read this when I was researching her or if it was actually a comment on this page. But somebody had mentioned, and this ties back to the woman talking about using a dead child's hair and the doll maker not knowing. But in this case, apparently it was not uncommon for people, if they had a child who died, to use their hair after they had passed on and to make a doll in their likeness. So maybe this, and I guess they're called death dolls. And that's not surprising to me because there used to be some kind of weird traditions when it came to dead bodies and loved ones who had passed on. And I kind of found out about this from the movie The Others. And what it is they would actually pose dead people, and it kind of looked like they were just sleeping. But they would pose them after they had died, so they kind of had like a memory of these people. So the whole premise of having a death doll is, I mean, it seems strange, but I don't think it's that unlikely that back then that would have been something that would happen. So there is a chance that maybe this was a child who died in a violent manner or was sadly abused, etc. And then she was made, her hair was cut off, and then she was made into a doll. Which would explain why the nightmares and all the bad things are kind of attached to this particular doll. So what do you think of Lilly? I think that she's definitely creepy. I think that it's kind of a sad thing that could be going along with this doll, especially if this is a little girl who met a violent end or had horrible things happen to her. I think that's extremely sad. I don't think she's quite as creepy as Peggy, but she definitely is a scary doll. And I don't know necessarily that she's scary. Well, I guess having nightmares and getting sharp pains in your stomach, yeah, that's scary. But I think it's more of a sad story that goes with her. And my understanding is that in the museum, they do tend to see a little girl around where Lilly is kept. So I think it's sad that if this little girl's soul is just attached to this doll and she hasn't moved on, that's very sad as well. But I do think that if the doll itself is in the museum, she's in good hands, and it's a good place for her to be. She'll be well taken care of. But that's it for this video, guys. If you liked it, give me a big old thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to my channel because I will definitely have some more videos on different haunted artifacts that are found from around the world, and some more haunted dolls as well, since there's plenty of them. So if you like that kind of thing, make sure you subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye!